Hi, Harry. Thank you for taking part in the Business Spotlight series. I'm going to hand it straight across to you to introduce yourself and what you do.
Hi, thanks for this opportunity. My name is Hari Ponniah. I'm the founder and CEO of Aadiland. Aadiland is a virtual 3D world. It's an immersive paradise where people can build, socialize, and prosper. Whatever people do in their real life, in the physical world, if it can be done virtually, then we enable that in Aadiland. Um, so Aadiland is a virtual world, just like our world. It has islands made up of islands. It has different islands for different purposes. Initially, we are starting up with 50 islands, basically 50 islands for 50 languages. So if you live, if let's say if you're a Japanese, you're living anywhere in the world, you can actually be part of the citizen of this Japanese island wherever you're living. And then you can actually, buy a plots, piece of land with yourself or with a group of people. You can build communities around you, a society, a group of people who can actually do something, for example, together. If you can't do it in your physical world, for example, some of your friends might live in US, some of them in Africa, some of them are still in Japan, or for example, you can't do things, you have used to, but now we provide that platform virtually to do that in the virtual world. So you can buy plots, build houses, community centers, clubs, training centers, you name it, we can do, like, for example, educational institutions, from teaching Japanese language, culture, maybe arts, those kind of things, which you can do virtually, remotely. You can do. It can be a place to earn money as well. For example, you can offer services, products. For example, if I'm from India, I live in the UK. I still buy and use products and services back in India, because I like it. So I do get this here, at a very high cost. There's no means for those small SMEs to advertise and be present in London, for example. So we provide them a virtual store, virtual environment to sell their products and services. And if I order there, they can get it delivered to my home. So, for example, right? If you do that in the physical world, it's impossible. There are a lot of things to be considered. If you want to have a brick and mortar store and have people really, posted in London, it's going to be a very costly affair. Not everybody can do it. So what I'm looking at is a future where a virtual world which will enable trade, commerce, socializing, and get on with your lives. Like if you can't do something, we'll try to make sure that you can do that in Aadiland.
Brilliant. Yeah, definitely opening things up. And when did you start the business?
Last year, around February. So in mid-January, I started thinking about it. And by February, the concept was ready. By April, I started getting the team in place. I did participate in a hackathon, a decentralized hackathon, which was based out of Australia, but there were teams from all over the world. We came in as third. And then I found somebody there in the hackathon who joined me as well. So he's now my co-founder. He's from Tunisia. He's an architect. But we are using him as an architect in the metaverse. For example, you want to build your house, he can architect it. You want to build your business or an entertainment art center or exhibition. I know we are building our head office there. For example, we are even building office complexes, apartment complexes. He is the architect for that, actually. So we start off that way. Now we have designers, game developers. We're building our own platform. For example, the infrastructure for the metaverse, based on so that people can actually use their phones, mobile phones, or VR glass if they have, or even their laptops and computers. So we are looking at a technology which everybody can access the metaverse, not just people with a costly VR headset. For some certain age groups, like the VR glasses, it doesn't suit as well. Like my mom and dad, they started getting giddy, actually, felt uncomfortable after using 10-15 minutes. So we are developing the tech, the platform, the infrastructure as well. So there are two things which we are developing. One is the infrastructure to host the metaverse, Another one is the metaverse itself, the virtual worlds, the virtual reality, the 3D models, and those kind of things. So that's what we are currently building.
Fantastic. And it sounds obviously there's a very large international element to it, since it's something obviously that's available
Yeah.
effectively everywhere.
So so we would typically form like 50 teams, for example. It's going to be decentralized, like for people who are not aware of decentralized businesses, like it's not one single entity controlling this whole project, because it's a huge project. So we chose the path of Web3 and decentralization. So over the time, the ownership of the company will be given to the community. So I foresee a 10-year period where slowly the control of the company goes to the community, which is actually operating it. So anyone who contributes to it gets benefited by a financial reward. The more the activity they promote, the more the money they get. For example, they can form communities, and any transactions happening out of what do I mean by transaction is there's going to be a marketplace for all the digital assets. For example, let's say you bought a piece of land and you want to build a house, right? So somebody can actually pre-build houses with digital web, a virtual house. You can actually buy from them, for example. So there's an economy going on. So inside the house, they can actually buy somebody from a virtual furniture store. You can buy sofas, tables to furnish your house, for example. And then because you can actually invite your friends and family to your house, so you can actually you can't invite them. Let's say some of your friends are in India, and then my house is here. I can't invite them. It's going to be a costly affair, right? They can't come as well, visas and stuff. Now I can actually build a house in the metaverse, invite them for an evening, for example, sit there and watch a movie, chit chat, like things like that. So I want my house to look chic and nice looking, right? So I can actually buy those things. Those are all NFTs, and people can actually produce those things. For example, somebody who's good at designing sofas, he can actually have like 100 different sofas with different colors and models and sell it in the marketplace, right? So I can buy it from him. And I'm good at certain things, like for example, I can actually design plants and gardens and stuff, so I can actually provide that service in the marketplace. And somebody else says like, I built a house, now I need a garden around my house, can you actually design and do it for me? Like so it's like that. Like so all the digital assets can be minted, created and minted and traded and exchanged. So every time something happens, there is a transaction fee. So that transaction fee gets distributed among people who are promoting that, or enabling that transaction happening. So basically, so that's why I said it's decentralized. As a company, we can't do this alone. It needs to be a community driven, user generated content. And what do you want to do? Like for example, you are good at German language, you can actually start a German tuition center there, training center where you can actually invite people to come to your class, attend German language sessions, for example, so it's like that. You have a consulting business and you don't have an office, we can set up an office here, and all you do is send a QR code to your the client who wants to come and meet you, and you both can spawn in your office, and you can actually shake hands, sit down, discuss, present the slide presentation, show the products, so you can run the business in the metaverse. That's what we are enabling.
Fantastic. And so that sort of covers where you'd like the business to go. What would you see as being the challenges for the next, say, 12 months moving forwards?
Every use case we take, and the people who are potential clients or buyers or users of that particular use case, there's always the education first, because it's new. When I'm saying to this, okay, you can do this, do that, people need to picturize in their mind how this is going to work, since there is not many examples around there. So I have to do the education first. The challenge is always education about Web3, about decentralization, about ownership, in the internet, the content ownership, or whatever they do. And then so the whole blockchain technology, I can't go too deep to certain people. I need to know at what stage I have to stop telling them, or should I even tell them? Like for example, to my mom and dad, we created a temple for my dad to visit the temple to do prayers, like for example in the metaverse. I didn't tell him that, like, there's like, we have minted tokens and Polygon, and you can actually donate for the good causes there. Like, all you do have to do is, like, connect your Polygon, your MetaMask wallet, and then, exchange send the tokens to the temple for development and stuff. Like, I didn't tell him you need to have Polygon, you need to have this and that, like, because, like, he doesn't understand that way. For a person who's technical, I can go and tell him, okay, do you have a wallet? If you don't have, this is the way to actually install a plugin in your browser. So it's like a lot of education
Yeah.
required, because we are at the forefront of the technology now. So the challenge is always, you can't have a direct sale, for example. I can't just say, okay, I have this, you come and buy. It's about educating the whole thing and then help them make. So this is a challenge here. Like, not everybody is into it. They don't want to complicate. Um,
Mm.
you know, Sometimes they don't want to get into complications. So we are making sure the technology is embedded underneath, like, so that common people can come in, doesn't have to worry about blockchain, doesn't have to worry about tokenization or NFTs or something like that. All they have to do is, like, buy a piece of land. You want to build something, there's something available ready made. You want to customize it, you can put it, like, buy and use it. But the underlying technology is blockchain, like, tokenization, NFTs, like, that is like bridging between different cryptocurrencies happening. But we mask all those things so that the common public don't have to worry about, like, for example.
Yeah, definitely finding ways to make it non-technical as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
And
but
sorry, there you go.
yeah, so it's like, today, like, you go and use a website, you don't need to understand, like, there's an AWS server there, there's like containerized technology there, like, it's like, automatic, like all those kind of things. We don't need to look at, like, whether it's developed with Java or JavaScript or React, or, it's a website, and, go there, and, there is a functionality available. So that's what we are trying to, you know, um, demystify this world of web blockchain and Web3 and stuff.
Brilliant. Yeah, I think there's definitely a need for that in the market as well. And what would you say has been, we're talking about education and learning, what would you say has been the biggest learning you've had as a business owner?
Um, it's I think empathy is the biggest point, I would say. Like, I've been, like, last 1 year, because I come from a very technical background. Like, last 25 years, like, I started off as a Linux kernel programmer, Java programmer, developer, solution architect, and for various, like, telcos and big companies. So all my interaction so far was with technical people.
Hmm.
There was no challenge for me there to, like, go down to the common man to explain what, this thing. So the biggest learning was, like, how do you actually put forward your thoughts, and how do you sell across by not involving technology, basically. But it's like highly technical field. But, the challenge here is, like, when you go and tell, or when you put forward a proposition, you need to look from the buyer's or client's perspective, like putting yourself on their shoes and saying, like, what is important for them, how it is going to be useful for them, what level of information they need to make the decision making. That's what I learned, actually, like, like having empathy, and putting myself on the other side and saying, like, okay, fine, like, do I really need to know how blockchain protocol works, like, for them to, like, use this technology, like, because if you predominantly look at this entire space, it is sold by saying that it's high tech, it's bleeding edge technology. It's like cryptographic algorithms and, like, all those kind of things, right? Like, that's how they were selling this field. But for me, my usage, or the end users, doesn't need to bother about, what technology I use. Like, I just use those benefits to pass on the benefits for them. So the learning is basically going on the other side, and, like, from a pure technical um, perspective to a more user friendly business use case, or real world use case, how it's used, like. So um, articulating that was the biggest learning I've done,
Yeah,
like, last 1 year.
makes sense. It makes sense. So, look, as a final thing, obviously it's up and coming and growing. Is there any news or any offer you'd like to extend to the audience?
Yeah. So what we are doing currently is, we are introducing new use cases that can be done on the metaverse. For example, in our website, there are different experiences, I would call. So in a metaverse, like, whatever you develop is an experience people can go and experience. For example, so we have we have some lounges, for example. People can actually go in, spend some time, and there's a lounge where you can actually spend with your loved ones. There's a business space, for example. That's a product where anybody who is doing a consulting business, we can actually provide them an office. 3,000, 4,000 pounds. That's it. Like, they have a beautiful office in the middle of a wood or forest or on top of the hill, or doesn't matter. Like, we can actually give any environment actually. So we can give an office. This week, we are actually introducing a meditation dome. So there's a meditation practitioner in London. Like, she wanted to have her clients come and attend her meditation sessions, but it's in central London, in Soho. But she finding it difficult. For a lot of people who want to attend, but they can't come. So she spoke to me, and then 3 weeks ago we started in conceptualizing a meditation dome in the middle of the forest with beautiful waterfalls. You go in there, 50 people can sit around. There's fire in the middle. And she runs a meditation class there. So on March 30th, she's running the first ever metaverse meditation session. So so these are the kind of things. So we are introducing that. So anyone in this field wants to have a metaverse based meditation space, we can actually offer them. So like this, anybody who wants to get into the field, please do contact me, www.aadiland.com, or LinkedIn. We are in other spaces as well, Twitter and stuff. Contact me, I can actually make it happen in the
Perfect.
metaverse.
Well, I'll put a link in the bio below, so that if people want to get in touch, then it's an easy way to do so. So thank you very much. It's been great to find out about it. It's certainly a bit different, and it's as you say, it's very cutting edge. It's new, and it'd be interesting to see all the different spaces that you're creating.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Cheers.
Thanks,
Bye.
Harry.